What's up, everyone? So before we get into the review of Freddy's Nightmares that Fuego and I did, I just wanted to talk to Marsha, pull her aside for just a second, because there's something important that I think we can discuss, Marsha.
Okay, yeah.
I want to discuss your husband's pubic region.
Okay, all right. I think I can help you with this.
So the reason I'm asking, does he take care of it? I mean, it's uncomfortable for me to ask about.
Well, occasionally when he really wants me to...
Special occasions?
Yeah.
when he wants me to, okay, fair enough. We'll leave it at that. Well, did you know that Manscaped is the only men's brand that is dedicated specifically to the men's undercarriage and hygiene?
No, I was not familiar.
Yes. Manscaped created the world's first manscaping kit that allows it to be safe and easy for all men using it.
Okay.
So the first thing, I'm going to go ahead and start pulling some magical things out of my little bag over here.
All right.
These are some precision tools for the family jewels.
Ooh, okay.
So,
I'm
so
into
this one, the Perfect Package 2.0 kit comes with what's called the Lawnmower 2.0. Right? Let me show the people and give them a quick look and a gander.
Wow.
And it's got a little power connector there. I'll let you take a look and
Yeah.
feel.
Ooh,
So
nice.
it is a waterproof manscaping trimmer with a powerful 6,000 RPM motor and a skin-safe technology. So no nicks, no snags, guaranteed. Go ahead, pop it on. You can feel the power because it came charged.
Oh.
Yep.
It vibrates for your pleasure.
That's
your grooming pleasure.
No one's gonna tell you how you should use either end of that thing. Is all I'm saying. So they do have the nick your sack, send it back guarantee, just in case he runs into any issues. But because it's waterproof and cordless, you can just charge it ahead of time, and then you can actually take it into the shower with him if you want.
Oh, that makes it easy.
Or you can take it into the shower with you for whatever purposes you might find.
He doesn't trust me that much.
Now, it is TSA approved, so it's travel friendly. If
Okay.
Pete ever wants to take it on any trips I know you guys go on trips all the time, so it could probably be a good thing for him. It's got 60 minutes of battery life as well on the full charge rather. Now, among that, when you get the Perfect Package kit, they actually send you a bunch of other goodies as well.
Oh, yeah?
So the first thing, they give you this little white carrying case for it. So
convenient.
next, the very first thing here is what's called, I want to make sure I get the name right, it's the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant.
Okay. Does
So,
it help with the sweating?
I don't know that it's an antiperspirant
Okay.
as much as just a deodorant.
Okay.
I hear antiperspirants are what clog your pores and can cause cancer, so we don't want that. We just want the deodorant, but people sometimes ask why ball deodorant, and it's because, you know, if you're going to put deodorant under your arms, you want to put it under another smelly place too. It's even
Right,
smellier,
yeah.
pretty much. So you get that. Then you also get what's called the Crop Reviver Ball Toner.
Oh, okay.
They call it a body toner in the copy, but it's a ball toner. So you can do contours and make sure they look svelte and young. There you go.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I'm learning so much about
I didn't
how to
know that
take
this much
care-
went into manscaping, to be honest with
take
you.
care of your ball sack.
Now the spray is meant to soothe and refresh the sensitive skin, but you also, when you sign up, you get to compliment all of these items with the Manscaped athletic boxers.
Oh, okay.
So it comes with
naturally.
it. Definitely worthwhile.
That's a good, indicator too. Like, hey, I'm fresh and I'm ready to roll.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what they say. It keeps you fresh. Now, when you do purchase the Perfect Package 2.0 kit, you get the biggest bang for your buck because when you sign up as a subscriber, you get 25% off your order right away. Then they also take care of you with the lawnmower by sending you a new blade every 3 months.
Ooh.
So it never actually gets dull and
Right.
you don't risk the nicking of the sacks.
You don't want it to get dull.
Don't want it to get dull. You also get this really cool Plow 2.0. Okay, now this is a old school straight razor that has a new improved ergonomic design, and they give you a few blades for that as well, so you can hedge the edges, as it were. Now,
like
I do want
designs
to.
And stuff?
Yep, little designs.
Okay.
Like little lightning bolts and whatnot.
Right, Some guys like to be creative.
Now, the lawnmower does come with these two little attachments here. You can put them either way. So it's got 4 different sizes. And then, of course, it does have the USB charger and this little brush to clean the bad boy out when it comes time to.
Perfect.
Yes. So lots of really good stuff. And then finally, when you use the code HORROR20, which is our code, at purchase, you do get free shipping.
Ooh.
And then as a free gift, they're going to toss in this lovely Manscaped bag as well.
Very
so you can
cool.
carry all of your stuff. So yes, guys, if you want to get your hands on these products for either yourself or if you're a lady or a man with a husband that's not quite taking care of stuff down there, you might get in one of these things as a nice, lovely Christmas present.
Yeah.
Get 20% off.
Stuffer.
Yep. Get 20% off plus free shipping from your Perfect Package 2.0 purchase when you use promo code HORROR20 at manscaped.com. So thank you guys very much, and on to those Freddy's nightmares. We've recorded all but one segment of the comic books, and now all we have left is to talk about the 8 episodes of Freddy's Nightmares that actually had to do with Freddy himself.
Yeah, as opposed to him like wrapping it around like Crypt Keeper status.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are stories that directly involved Freddy. We're gonna talk about the first 4, which took place in season 1, and then there were 4 that took place in season 2 that we'll talk about separately. So today we're going to talk about the 4 that took place in season 1, beginning with the pilot episode of the series called No More Mr.Nice Guy. And this one just tells the straight origin of Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, which was hinted at with some of the mythology and everything, and mentioned in a few of the films about the fact that, yes, he was, like tried for this, and then it didn't end up really being able to like hit because of the fact that they didn't like read him his rights properly or
correct
whatever. It was
they didn't
really...
gather the evidence correctly.
Yes,
right.
yeah, exactly. And it's really mainly about the cop who was like on the case and decided to take matters in his own hands afterwards when his daughters are presumed possible targets of Fred Krueger. And I mean, I know we're not trying to spoil stuff, but he is very... I don't know. He is instrumental in the in the Freddy that we end up getting in all the films, so to speak. So
indeed. So yeah, this one is just straight telling that story, and you get to see the mob that gathers to kill him, and it actually ends up being sort of the killing itself ends up being led by the cop that mishandled the evidence. So it sort of all came full circle. But what I thought was really interesting about this episode was that Freddy was still evil, even as a human. He kills a couple of cops as a human.
Yep.
And then when they track him down and they're about to burn him, he doesn't care. He just taunts the cop even more. Like, the cop is originally there to stop the mob. And then Freddy taunts him saying, I'm going to come after you and your family and all this stuff. And then he's like, oh, okay, I guess we need to burn you.
Yeah.
And so then he grabs the can and he's the one that dumps the gas all over him. And then they all sort of light him on fire. But what's fun is Freddy doesn't have his Freddy voice until after they kill him.
Which is where I asked you after watching this, I was like, didn't sound like Robert Englund. I'm not sure if it was him because it's very evidently Robert Englund in a lot of the later episodes of this show. But in the pilot, I just wasn't sure. I thought there was like a body stand-in.
No, it was him. It just was him without any of the voice modification on him because he was still human.
Yeah,
he hadn't changed into the Dream Demon, so his voice didn't change yet. Yeah, it does in retrospect make perfect sense. So I actually, while the kills are very basic in this episode, especially... you don't really see very much. One happens off camera. One happens on camera. One happens off camera. Yeah. And you
have to remember it's syndicated television, everybody. So this was like kind of a euthanized Freddy to a degree,
right?
Where they were. It's 1988. I think this was about the time Dream Child came out. So they were trying to milk the property as much as they could, but.
Yeah, it felt very neutered, unfortunately. Now, later episodes, I felt like they got freed up because there's actual decapitations shown and stuff like that. I think that was more in season 2, though.
I felt like the second season actually had higher production value and was gorier.
I agree.
To a degree.
But this one just tells that story, and it tells how Freddy first becomes the Dream God, and then he not only gets his revenge on the cop, but he sort of, vows vengeance on the whole family, which ends up playing out down the line a little bit in another episode. But
yes,
before we get there,
episode to this.
But before we get there, there's one in between, right? Yeah,
there is
Freddy's
indeed.
Tricks and Treats is the next episode.
Yeah,
so why don't you go into that one?
Yeah, this was a Halloween episode, actually. It broadcast on the 29th and
Episode
88
4
of
of season 1.
Yeah, and so interesting thing that they do on this show is that there's an A story and a B story, and they try to like combine them, or at least like have some sort of connective tissue. And so initially we have this girl who is she's a medical student, and she's working on cadavers and doing all this stuff. And there's a Halloween party at this house she lives at, which there's so much late 80s nonsensical silliness in all of this. But she's trying to study. She decides that she's going to leave and actually go to the research facility, and she doesn't believe in the legend of Freddy, and yet she starts to experience him because of the fact that she's been staying up late, she's been studying, and so on and so forth. And at the halfway point, it turns into her being studied by this guy who has a crush on her. But there's also a bunch of stuff with like her abusive grandmother, and I mean, it's a hodgepodge of different ideas and beats and stuff like that. It's not particularly scary. She's pretty, I guess, but I don't know. There
was a weird misdirect early in the episode when you find out that her best friend doesn't actually exist.
Mark, yeah.
So
Mark
that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
That was a kill, but it doesn't end up mattering because he was an imaginary construct anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just, like you said, it was a bit all over the place. It was a weird hodgepodge, but
compared to the first episode, it just, I mean, I really liked the
No More Mr. Nice Guy, yeah.
episode. This one, Freddy's Tricks and Treats, I believe it was called. It just, it felt like a lot of interesting ideas, though, especially in the second half,
where the students start to study her.
And they're trying to do this visualization of dreams and how that's possible. I mean, who the hell knows?
Yeah, back in the early 90s or late 80s when they did this, so it was tough for them to come across
even
digital or technologically.
Yeah, even the instructor was like, yeah, I thought this was just like a totally hackneyed idea that like couldn't actually amount to anything, and you've somehow managed to do it. And he's like, yeah, when you raise the fear levels, the dreams are more intensive and blah blah blah. And I was just I was just standing there like, okay, sure.
So as he does that, Freddy becomes more riled up all the way until Freddy takes notice of him, and then it doesn't end up going well for the guy running the dream study as well.
Because you only meet him for one scene at the punch bowl in the first half of the episode, and that is the thing, as I said, is that you will see like one character a little bit in the first half of the episode, and then they become the focus in the second half. It's kind of the mantra of this show, at least from what I've watched. So
now, to make sure we're doing more than just recapping the episodes, really, let's say that the cinematography and the actual filmmaking of these are very late 80s, early 90s soap opera, because it's TV coverage. So it's the 4:3 or whatever, the 1:19, whatever it was, ratio back in the day of the square ratio of TV, and it just is hampered by that sort of acting when you have to cut for commercials. People end on weird notes to try and seem like they're adding tension when it's not, because it's coming off like a soap opera. So that felt a little bit weird in the first 2 episodes. It didn't feel that way through the whole 8 episodes, but this first season, unfortunately, they all did kind of feel like just a half-hour soap opera, or a 40-minute soap opera that is divided in 2. So that kind of felt very much like this in this episode, in the first one specifically.
Yeah, and very limited sets and stuff. I mean, there was like, it almost felt like there was one dream set that was, put together, and that's what they used for.
Well, that's what they used for all of Freddy's intros and outros, and then they just had
exactly.
to sort of mask it a little bit for the episodes they used it in otherwise.
Yeah, and I do have to criticize, I mean, we'll get to it a little more so in the other couple episodes, but I don't feel like they held to the mythology as much, you know? There was a lot of just, like, kind of taking it as they went and doing their own thing and not, like, adhering to the rules, so to speak, and that bugged me a little bit. So,
well, and sometimes Freddy was doing stuff that he wasn't known to do in the movies, which My Sister's Keeper, episode number 7, is the next one to talk about, and that kind of demonstrated that because
sequel to the first episode.
Sequel to the first episode. Yep, it's the grown-up daughters, the grown-up twin daughters of the cop from the first episode, which I didn't even realize until Fuego pointed it out to me. So that made it pretty interesting. But I will say that the episode itself, while an interesting story, I don't think it was executed the most clear because you couldn't kind of tell. Like, here's the thing, it's about the two twins. One of them is a way more outgoing one, the other one is a way more introverted one, and she's introverted almost because she's haunted by Freddy. Her sister doesn't believe her, no one believes her, but it's ruining her life. But somehow, so she and her popular sister are both unhappy in their own lives, so they kind of agree to switch, but kind of, sort of in passing. So one's okay with it, but the other doesn't realize they're actually doing it. So they kind of switch lives, and like boyfriends are traded. And it turns out that, this switch sort of passes Freddy from one to the other. And then it becomes sort of like a who is it really that we're following now? A little bit of a mystery to unravel.
Because
that part of it
twins,
I liked, yeah. Because they're identical twins. That the sort of whodunitness that happened after the switch was a little bit interesting, but it was just kind of an okay episode. Way better than the last one. Not as engaging as the first one, because the first one was the origin, obviously.
Yeah, it was definitely more so what I would expect from a Nightmare on Elm Street spin-off series in a lot of ways. I thought the acting from the two girls was pretty bad, unfortunately, and most of their classmates as well. But, I mean, the fact that it's taking place at Springwood High School and everything, and, that was something significant. And
I will say that this is the first one of all the episodes that we watched that I did feel like if they expanded it into a full-length feature, it would work.
Done it. Yeah.
Right. It would actually work if you gave it time, develop the twins, and have Freddy kind of jump between them and actually pull off the being each other thing better than the TV show could. I think there's a number of these stories that were actually like, wow, this would actually be a good Freddy movie, and this was the first that I felt
And there's a video that I saw specifically when I was doing some searches that were like, Freddy's Nightmares plot points that should have been expanded into
Oh, really?
features.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, there's a countdown that I'm probably inclined to watch at this particular point. But
so what did you think of this one then?
boy, it's not very good. I mean, I still contend that the first episode, the pilot, is the best probably that I've seen. One sister seemed a little bit better as far as the performance, and that was Lisa. And then I'm trying to remember the name of the
Merritt.
Merritt, yeah. The more sheltered sister was Merritt and everything. But I know it was supposed to be cheesy and corny, and the guy trying to serenade her with a really terrible song was just insanely bad. And the fact that some other hot girl comes over and is like, I love guitar players, and you're just like, did you listen to his prowess on the axe? I mean,
that's what's bugging you?
Yeah.
That he wasn't actually good on the guitar?
No, he was absolutely awful. But I mean, and it's once again another plot point where they're trying to devise a way to just rid Freddy and pull him into the real world and be done with him and stuff. So I don't know. This was just an episode especially where I felt the constraints of television with gore and with just not being able to have like legitimate kills, and it's more like a scare factor instead of a kill factor. And I just
didn't really do it.
I was underwhelmed, man. I honestly liked the second episode better in the weird ideas that it put forward, and the whole visualizing of dreams and everything. I was more entertained by that, than this one.
I guess so, but I did like that a lot of these episodes in the series did have stakes. Like this one had a finality to it that you're like, oh damn, okay, they actually did do that.
They still do often Twilight Zone the ending, and the fact that it's like a dark turn twist sort of thing.
Not everyone always makes it out.
Exactly.
And so I liked that at least. So it did feel like there were more stakes at some points. But that's going to lead us to the last episode in season 1, which was episode number 22 called Safe Sex. Fuego, what was this one about?
This was the funniest one for me of these four, and the fact that
it was the sexiest of all the episodes, for sure.
Yeah, so it's about a goth girl who's obsessed with Freddy, and she's never been terrorized by him, presumably, but she's heard enough about him to find the idea just enchanting, so to speak. And there is this nerdier guy who is like, the episode starts with him sitting down and talking to this therapist, and just confiding his obsession in this goth girl, and I don't know. He makes his plays. He does his thing. Once again, an A and a B side to the storytelling, because in the first half it's his story, and then in the second half it's his friend's story. But both are centered around this girl who has kind of, I don't know, cast this proverbial dark spell on the both of them. And once again, not gory or anything, but there is one cool sequence where a character is strapped to like this thing and he's like spun around and such, and so that was kind of dope. But I mean, aside from that, it plays very much on some 80s-isms of trying to hit on like
don't be oversexed and stuff like that.
Exactly. I mean, the friend gives our main character in the first half of the episode this like how to pick up on women book at one particular point, and he's like, "You've done it, right?" And he's like, "Well, not exactly," as he's the advisor and such, but I don't know, it wasn't absolutely terrible, but the 80s-isms I found the most entertaining of this particular episode, I suppose. So
yeah,
and it totally made sense that some crazy goth girl would be, I mean,
the one obsessed with Kruger.
Yeah, and there's women who want to like sleep with Charles Manson when he was still alive, and lots of serial killers and crazy, guys of that regard, and women to a degree. I mean, look at Monster with Charlize Theron. I mean, there is a allure of the dangerousness in that regard, and so I thought that was an interesting setup. Execution, not as much for me, but I could kind of identify with both of those guys, being somebody in high school who got no play. So I don't know. It wasn't bad. I actually enjoyed this one.
I enjoyed it too. I thought it felt like it was trying to be Animal House with a little bit of Freddy to it, and and for the timing, I thought it would have been interesting to watch. It was a little bit tame overall, but it looked like it was having more fun than a lot of the other ones though. So I did at least enjoy it. It didn't really stick with me as much as some of the other ones did, but it was, and I only watched it about a month ago, but it was still interesting enough. There was a couple of kills that were, one person I swear got stabbed in the dick by the Freddy Claw, and I have written down that Dana is the character that gets stabbed in the D. Because he has a sex dream about Kruger that goes wrong, and Kruger uses a Freddy glove to stab Dana's dick, is what I said. His mom comes in and finds him dead, no less, with the wound, and
well,
so...
it was when he was reading the book, and then he has the dream where she's going to come and hook up with him and everything,
right.
And yeah.
So, I mean, they really did play on it, because any dude imagining Freddy's claws piercing their groin is not going to have a good night.
Yeah,
so
you're gonna have a bad time.
So it was okay, but I do feel like that of the four, No More Mr. Nice Guy, and actually I thought My Sister's Keeper, because it was an interesting enough idea using twins and having them try and switch, and it's like they tried to Freaky Friday it, but had Freddy passing between them instead, and so that I kind of liked that one, but overall, it was at least interesting enough where you're like, wow, these are Freddy stories that I've never seen before, so I'm definitely glad to have watched them, and I'm excited to talk about the final four.
Yeah, this was, I don't know, the fourth one was as silly as I could have imagined, whereas the first three were, like, pretty serious in their own regard, but there's a part of me that, as, like, hot mess as some of these episodes were, I kind of want to watch the other episodes that don't incorporate Freddy to a degree. I mean, there's like a curiosity for the sheer fact that there is a Friday the 13th anthology series, and then there was this as well, just doing their own thing. I mean, there's episodes in the first and second season that deal with other Springwood killers, that aren't Freddy. So I don't know. There is a curiosity that's just kind of settling below, but 22 episode seasons, where it's like trying to forge your way
with those
through all
production values without Freddy, I think it's going to be a hard sell for me.
Yeah,
so
when we have so much to watch and so much to review and all of these other things that we're juggling, that's where it becomes tough.
So we're going to stick with this, but I think that's going to do it for our review of the 4 episodes from Season 1 of Freddy's Nightmares that have to do with Freddy Krueger himself.
Yeah.
Again, that was Episode 1, Episode 4, Episode 7, and Episode 22. I'm going to go ahead and drop the links to all those episodes. You can find them online. I'm going to put the Daily Motion links that I found down there. So if they get pulled down, forgive me at some point. I'm not going to be able to monitor that forever.
No.
But you can at least watch them if you haven't seen these these episodes. I want to spread it because not a lot of people have seen these.
They've all been up for a few years at this point. I think like 2+ years
Yeah.
was where the predominant person who put all these up has posted them.
So yeah, enjoy them. If you haven't seen them yet, obviously the transfer isn't perfect. It's not Blu-ray quality. Sound issues abound. But it's still fun to give a try to. Now, if you didn't know, we are still currently finishing the campaign for Dylan's New Nightmare. This one right there to Fuego's left, the poster. It is a project where we are making a Freddy fan film that is a unofficial sequel to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, and it's going to be starring Miko Hughes, reprising his role as Dylan Porter, and Dave McRae stepping into the role of the striped sweater himself. He's going to be playing Freddy Krueger. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've already managed to get about 70% of our goal, so we're trying to get the rest of the way. But in either case, it's going to be an awesome project. If you haven't contributed yet, the link to that is in the description box. Even if you can't contribute, please share it out so more people find out about it, because we really want to make the best Freddy fan film we possibly can.
You got this, man.
So yeah, thank you guys very much for watching. I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, Jaime, and Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.